Hi, everyone. This is TK,
And I'm Tony.
and we're with Movie Widow Media. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to talk about the new Marvel movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Did I get that right?
You did.
Yeah, good. It is again Marvel's new installment into their franchise, their huge franchise. If you're a Doctor Strange fan, then this one's for you. You've probably been waiting for it, like Tony has here. But yeah, we're going to talk to you about that today. Sam Raimi is the director, and let's just jump right into it. I gotta say that I am not a big fan of the movie. I was not happy with it overall. I thought that it had a few good points, including the music. The music was done by Danny Elfman. Was he with Oinko Boinko, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, with Oinko
Way
Boinko.
back in the day.
So it's got this whimsical type music. The music, the score itself is kind of like a character within the film. The score performed better than some of the actors in the film, I believe. I do feel the score kind of overwhelmed some of the dialogue at moments, but overall, I love the score, and you'll probably hear a lot about that from others too, because the score was everything. The acting wasn't the best, I don't think. I just don't know. I gotta admit, I am not a Marvel enthusiast. I've seen all of the movies because of this guy. He's really into Marvel, and his favorite, I think your favorite character is Doctor Strange.
That's right. Doctor Strange is my favorite.
Yeah, and I just never, he was the least favorite of mine, his movie, the first movie, because I think the guy's a prick, first of all, the character.
That's his character.
Yeah, and I'm just not a big fan of his, but, I am a fan of Raimi's, so when I realized that he was directing this, I kind of wanted to see how he put his touch on it or whatever. So I talked about the score, talked about the acting. There were a few sequences in there that I really liked. One of them being, remember when they were falling through the different
paint universe,
the different multiverses, right? And it kind of gave me the sense of what Loki felt when he was falling for 30 minutes.
Falling for 30 minutes.
So that was a good sequence. Dueling, there was a scene in there, a fighting scene with dueling symphonies, again, going back to the score.
That was kind of clever.
Yeah, that was really clever, I think. So, overall, I'm going to say I don't have too much more to add because I'm just not a huge fan of Doctor Strange. I just really didn't like the movie overall. I kind of asked his opinion on it as we were walking out the theater, and he gave it kind of like a 5 out of 10. Not that we're doing any formal scoring here, but overall, I just wasn't happy with the film. But I'm going to turn it over to Tony because this is his wheelhouse.
All right, I guess I can give it a little bit more informed opinion.
Right.
Frenetic, kinetic, constantly moving, never stopping for characterization, never stopping for growth, change, investigation in the Marvel Universe. The thing I love about Marvel is the continuity, the history, the characters, and that's what they've built so far the last 10 years on, basically the characters. Now they're leaning towards nonstop action movies, which is basically where DC used to be, and I'm not a big fan of those. I thought everything was just much too rushed. I'm also should put out a disclaimer. We already mentioned Doctor Strange is my favorite character. I do not care for, in my fiction, alternate universes, multiple universes, because they rob a story of any validity, any essence, any responsibility. Character can get killed, which happens in this movie. About 5 Marvel characters that are really interesting, they bring in for 5 minutes and then kill them off, which, they did it quickly, so
Be careful not to give any spoilers, though.
Well,
remember.
that's a huge spoiler.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll deal with that in post.
But yeah, they were in a rush to introduce new characters, got them on the screen, didn't go into much detail or depth as to their characterization, went from scene to scene to scene to scene. Part of my disconnect or not liking this may be tied to the rumor mills, the things I've heard that they might have attempted to do. This movie went through a post-production hell. Essentially, they came back and the rumors are shot 3/4 of it over again. There are, if you pay attention, there are little hints and details to stories or paths they might have planned to take or originally took, but have now taken out of the movie. I know it's kind of blown out on our TV in the background, but if you take a look at that image, that is the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness 3D poster. If you notice behind them, again, it's a little bit blown out, there is a depiction of Hela in that picture. Now, you might remember Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Who played her? I forget.
Kate Blanchett?
Yeah, Kate Blanchett. Although, of course, her character was theoretically off in the movie, she is the god of Norse Hel, Hel. So I can derive from that at some point Doctor Strange was going to make a journey to Hell to accomplish some kind of goal, and you can imagine with Sam Raimi directing, that would have been the real horror movie I originally heard this was going to be. This was supposed to be off the chain horror as much as they could. I'm sure Marvel's not going to go into making R-rated movies on a regular basis, but as far as horrible as PG-13 could get, this was going to be it.
It was pretty
but
creepy.
I really think they took a lot out of it. They had one sequence wherein Doctor Strange inhabited a deceased version of himself and walked around, and he was zombie-like, and it was kind of creepy, but it lasted a few minutes and was over. I really thought that they were going to go overboard, whole hog with this. Also, I had heard for months that this was going to be the equivalent, if you think about it, of Captain America Civil Wars, with a ton of guest stars being in it. If that was the case, if that ever was the plan, it's been cut out. Those 5 cameos I was referring to are it. And again, they were done in 5 minutes. So that was a huge disappointment to me. Judging the film on its own merits, though, it's a 5. It's middle of the road for a Marvel movie. In other words, being middle of the road for a Marvel movie, it's not too bad. I mean, if it was released without a Marvel label on it, I'd probably give it a 6, 6.5, 7.
Really?
Sure. Because once you get that label on you, at this point, we expect quality, and it's kind of a burden in a way. The director's got to live up to that, and I really don't think they did in this case.
Well, how do you feel about plot? And it could be just because I'm not that familiar with the MCU as far as the ins and outs and how the plots intersect or whatever. Was the plot? I thought the plot was a little much.
I kind of thought the opposite. I mean, they had a lot going on, and their decision to bring that great amount in was to speed everything up. So you didn't have 10 seconds to think about what was going to happen next or what did just happen. It was just a lot going on. The plot was interesting in and of itself, but compared to other Marvel movies, again, I'm a big fan of characterization. There was very little, if any, of that. I mean, they showed a few scenes of Doctor Strange lamenting his old girlfriend that went off and got married,
Christina.
and whether he was happy in life, things of that nature. And that's the stuff that's kind of curious to me, because again, I enjoy the character. He's an arrogant ass, but that, that's the way he is. But I could see him, really falling for somebody, really being in a true emotional relationship. And saying that kind of brings me to one of the teasers at the end of the movie. Clea,
so we're really
CLEA, showed up. Now, if you're a fan of the comic books, which I have been for 40 years, she's his real extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional girlfriend. They even married at one point. So it's strange that this is kind of what I said at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie. It looks like next time we'll get a real Doctor Strange movie. That's what I've been waiting for patiently. And really, Marvel hasn't done that yet. First one comes close. At least it's not bogged down with cameos and, filling in the blanks. But I really want a definitively great Doctor Strange movie. And this was not it.
In your opinion, what is a real Doctor Strange movie? What was this one missing?
I think the multiverse is getting there in terms of the weird dimensional stuff. He's a character that does travel across dimensions, does see extra dimensional entities, fights wars in other universes, but they seem to hammer home alternate realities. In other words, duplicate Earths, duplicate cities, duplicate situations. Kind of reminds me of the old DC books that were Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3. And as a comic book reader, even then I couldn't get into them. I like consequences. I like my story straight. DC got into such a headache with that they eventually came up with Crisis on Infinite Earths and blew up everything in order to get the continuity nailed down into one Earth and all the people on it. And I much prefer that. It was more, in his past adventures, it's more extra dimensional, not necessarily different Earths or duplicate people or anything of that nature. Real fascinating stuff, actually.
All right.
Did you know that back in the 60s that people used to get high and read Doctor Strange comic books because of the unique artwork that Steve Ditko did? It's really they went on a little high back in the day. It's interesting.
Well, was this the 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, it explains a lot. All right, you got anything else?
No, other than keep your expectations low, and you probably won't be as disappointed as I was. And I realize Doctor Strange is not everybody's cup of tea, not everybody's favorite character. So I think the general public will like this. I don't by any means think it's a horrible or bad movie. So I can see it definitely making its money back. The only thing, again, that I'm interested in is I hope it makes enough money back to the point where they will make a third self-contained Doctor Strange movie. That's what I look for.
Well, it said it would be back. Right? Yeah.
He'll be back. I have no doubt. It's just a question of whether he'll get his own movie. I mean, so far, Thor is the only character that's had a third movie. They usually cut him off after 2. I'm sorry, 3. I apologize. Thor has a 4th movie. They usually cut him off after 3s. But maybe we'll get another one. Maybe we will.
I don't think so. So there you have it, folks. That's our opinion of the new Doctor Strange movie. I wasn't a big fan, just to recap, I wasn't a big fan, but I'm not a big fan of Doctor Strange. The only reason why I was interested in seeing this movie was because of Sam Raimi. And in that, he didn't disappoint. But everything else, the acting wasn't great. I think the score was a better character than some of the actual characters in the movie. And I think that it had a couple of sequences that I really liked that were really cool.
I think you really enjoyed WandaVision. What did you think about what they did with the Scarlet Witch?
I don't like the fact that they turned her into just this crazy.
Yeah.
But you said she went crazy in the comic books, right?
She did. House of M. It was a huge event, but you're constantly dancing about whether the MCU, as we know, is going to honor the comic books, go by them verbatim, which they haven't. They haven't. So you never know what they're going to pick and choose to abide by. I thought that WandaVision ended on a good note in terms of her mental health. She was going to go off and find herself and come to peace with what was going on. And we saw that extra scene at the end where she was reading the Darkhold. I guess that opened the door to what happened in this movie, but I didn't like the way they made her just totally nuts.
It seems
and
like,
I wish they had shown Vision. I mean,
yeah, I love Vision.
You think they could have brought Vision in to calm her down or something, to talk to her, to show her the errors of her ways, but no.
Well, that didn't work too well in WandaVision, did it? It seems like they were trying to say something about motherhood, because she kept saying something to the effect that I'm not a monster, I'm a mother. And I don't know what that means, or if there was a deeper meaning behind it or whatever.
That's kind of an old trope, isn't it? I mean, you show the woman going crazy when she has kids, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of didn't like that. I don't know what it means. I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on that? If you've seen it, I don't know what that meant. Maybe they knew it was coming out around Mother's Day. I'm not sure, but
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, to answer your question, I really didn't like what they did with Wanda's character. So, because I happen to like Wanda and Vision, I like them together, and I like them both separately. So, but there you have it, folks. This is TK and Anthony. Tony. He's gonna go by Tony. With Movie Widow Media. I hope you enjoyed what we had to say about this movie, and just stay tuned because we got a lot more content coming your way.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.